The day I realized my neighbors thought they owned my land, I woke up to a row of SUVs parked across my front field like it was tailgate Sunday, lawn chairs out, a golf cart idling, and a bright blue sign staked dead center in my grass that said HOA overflow parking. Yeah, that happened. I stood there in my kitchen doorway with a mug of coffee halfway to my mouth thinking maybe I was still dreaming. Maybe this was some weird suburban fever dream where property lines are optional and entitlement grows like crabgrass. But no, the cars were real. The sign was real. And the audacity? Oh, that was very real. Let me back up a sec. I bought this land for one reason: peace. Privacy. Freedom. No HOA. No clipboard patrol. No one measuring the height of my grass or debating the emotional impact of my mailbox color. Just open sky, a stretch of field out front, tree line in the back, and enough space between me and the next human being to actually hear myself think. That was the deal. Until it wasn't. That first morning, I walked out there slow, boots sinking into my own dirt, and just stared at that sign. Blue metal, crisp white letters, hammered into the middle of my property, like someone planting a flag on conquered territory. Next to it, sedans, SUVs, even a Lexus with the kind of shine that says, "I complain professionally." I yanked the sign out of the ground and knocked on the nearest car window. A woman in oversized sunglasses cracked it down 2 inches and looked at me like I'd interrupted her spa day. "Can I help you?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, gesturing around. "You're parked on my land." She blinked. "Oh no, this is HOA overflow parking." I smiled, tight, polite, the kind of smile that keeps you out of jail. "No, ma'am. This is my property." She frowned like I'd just told her gravity was optional. "We were told homeowners can park here when the clubhouse lot is full." Told by who? The HOA. That was the moment it clicked. This wasn't an accident. This was organized. And once I started looking, I saw it everywhere. Tire tracks cutting a dirt path through my lower field. Joggers using the tree line as a scenic shortcut. A family, I swear to you, having a full-blown picnic under my oak tree like it was a public park. Blanket. Cooler. Deviled eggs. I walked over and said, "You realize you're trespassing, right?" The guy in the polo with the HOA logo looked up mid-sandwich and said, "Well, technically this has been used by the community for years." Used. Like that word meant ownership. That's when I saw the map, laminated, tacked to a wooden post. A neighborhood welcome map labeling my land as community green space. My land. I tore it down and drove straight to the clubhouse. Now, if you've ever seen an HOA office, you know the vibe, sterile, beige, motivational quotes about community harmony. And behind a glass wall sat Karen. HOA president. Queen of curated shrubs. Framed photos of herself at ribbon cuttings lined the wall, like she was running for mayor of Pettyville. I didn't knock. I dropped the sign and the map on her desk. "You want to explain why my property is labeled as community green space?" She folded her hands, gave me that rehearsed smile. "There's no need to get upset. It's just a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" I said. "You printed maps." She slid a binder across the desk. "Color tabs. Legal jargon. Prescriptive easement," she said sweetly. "The community has used that land for years." Now here's the thing, I'm not an idiot. Prescriptive easement requires years of uncontested, hostile use and a court ruling. And it doesn't magically transfer ownership. I leaned forward. "Karen, that land isn't part of your HOA. Never has been." Her smile flickered. "Well," she said, tone sharpening, "the board has approved an assessment. If you refuse to cooperate, we may pursue legal action." There it was. The threat. I laughed. Slow. Humorless. "Go ahead." And I walked out knowing this wasn't over. Because Karen didn't like losing. 2 days later, I got a thick envelope stamped with Oak Ridge Estates HOA legal department, which, by the way, was just Karen and a printer. Final notice. Violations. Fines. $500 for restricting public access. $1,000 for interfering with community functionality. Community I didn't belong to. I ignored it. That drove her insane. Board members showed up next, khakis, clipboards, fake authority radiating off them like cologne. They hovered at my driveway, talking about easement reviews and shared community rights. I told them one thing. Step on my land again and I press trespassing charges. That wasn't a threat. That was a promise. And that's when Karen made the mistake that ended her. It started with a voicemail. "Hi, this is Greg from Oak Ridge Realty. following up on your interest in purchasing a premium lot with exclusive community trail access. Trail access. I called him back. Turns out the HOA was advertising expanded recreational space, complete with private trails, event space, premium green areas. Highlighted on the promotional map. My property. They weren't just using it. They were selling access to it, including it in membership packages, taking photos of my field for marketing brochures. Fraud. Straight up fraud. I pulled up their website. There it was, Oak Ridge Private Trails. My land outlined in HOA colors like it had always belonged to them. I felt something shift inside me right then. Calm. Cold. Focused. But before I even called my lawyer, I walked outside the next morning and saw workers on my land. One mowing. One installing a wooden sign. Welcome to Oak Ridge Private Trails. HOA members only. That was it. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I built a fence. Not a cute little picket fence. A wall. Industrial-grade steel posts. Anti-climb panels. Motion cameras. I mapped every shortcut they'd been abusing and sealed them. Every dirt path. Every trampled gap in the trees. I rerouted my driveway gate, so the only way in was through my private road. When it was done, my property looked like Fort Knox's country cousin. The next morning I stood on my porch with coffee and waited. Sure enough, Karen came storming up to the fence, red-faced, board members trailing behind her. "You can't do this," she screamed, shaking the metal. I took a sip. "This is my private property. You're obstructing community access." "This land was never yours," I said calmly. "And now it never will be." Then I handed her a folder. Cease and desist. Fraud claims. Trespassing. Unauthorized commercial use of private property. Lawsuit filed. Her face drained of color. And here's the twist, the one she never saw coming. When the lawsuit investigation started, it didn't just uncover my issue. It uncovered everything. Karen hadn't just lied about my land. She'd been skimming HOA funds. Forging signatures on property documents. Approving contracts without board votes. Selling amenities she didn't own. All on record. Once homeowners realized they'd been paying for access to land that wasn't even part of the HOA, the pitchforks came out, metaphorically but still. Lawsuits stacked up like firewood. Board members bailed. Within weeks, the HOA dissolved under financial pressure. And Karen? She didn't get a slap on the wrist. She didn't get probation. She got prison time. Fraud. Embezzlement. Forgery. The same woman who threatened me with fake liens ended up standing in a courtroom while a judge read off charges that carried actual consequences. I walked out of that courthouse lighter than I'd felt in months. No HOA. No fake rules. No more blue signs in my grass. Just my land. My fence. My peace. Sometimes I drive past Karen's old house, empty now, for sale, HOA sign long gone, and I can't help but smile. Because here's the thing, she thought power came from a clipboard and a binder full of colored tabs. She thought intimidation was enough. She thought if she pushed hard enough, I'd fold. But property lines are funny that way. They don't care about ego. They don't bend for entitlement. And if you cross them long enough, eventually you hit steel. So let me ask you something. If someone had quietly claimed your land, used it, sold access to it, told everyone it was theirs, would you have fought back? Or would you have tried to keep the peace? Where's the line between community and control? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear what you would have done, because I know I'm not the only one who's had to remind somebody that ownership isn't a suggestion. And if you believe standing your ground matters, in big things or small, stick around. Because sometimes justice doesn't knock politely, sometimes it kicks the door in.